Hey there, welcome to the My Risk Adviser podcast. This podcast is for anyone in the financial planning ecosystem with a focus on life risk insurance. I'm your host, Phil Thompson, Director and Financial Advisor at Sky Wealth, and I've been on a business journey over the last few years going from a struggling holistic advice firm with one staff member, considering packing it all in, to pivot the business now to being one of Australia's leading specialist insurance advice firms with over 7 advisors, 30 team members, and helping hundreds of clients every single year get important insurance cover in place. I am unashamed to say that this podcast is so I can continue to grow and develop as an advisor and a business owner as I interview some incredibly smart individuals. So keep on listening so you can learn alongside me. All right, so today with me, I've got Aaron Zelman. He is the co-founder of Willed and advisor who's previously won IFA Risk Adviser of the Year multiple times, I believe.
That is the case. It's feeling like a bit of old history now. It's getting many years ago, it seems. But yeah, that's exactly
yeah.
Great to be here, Phil.
Thanks for joining me.
So good to be here.
Yes, let's kick off. So just help me understand your background.
Absolutely. I guess at heart, I am a life insurance tragic and passionate advisor for 20 years, actually, when I first got into the industry. Before that, I was contemplating a career in psychology, but found my way into the ANZ Bank and financial services and really just loved life insurance from the get-go and worked in that for many, many years, owned my own business and also was a partner in another business. And that was everything for me, really. I lived, breathed, slept, ate, all that stuff, risk insurance, and also really engage with the community trying to develop other advisors, be they financial planners interested in risk or riskies, that rare breed of us. So that was really key to what I've done in my career. But I also developed a big passion in just the tech world and startup world and solving problems that people had, which led me to co-found Willed just on 4 years ago.
Well, we're even rarer breed. A lot of people have done similar to you. Maybe not started a tech business. So let's move into that. So why did you move out of advice and start Willed?
Well, I could see the opportunity just with so many clients of mine. They were very professional people, mostly doctors, but could even be lawyers who wouldn't even get their own wills in place. Everyone appreciated that they needed to do it. And as advisors, we'd be, encouraging them to do it, to get it done. And it was just too many obstacles. And at the time, I had a business partner who also had, in his case, lost his father, an entrepreneur himself. Could see that there was a massive opportunity to help people in a streamlined manner, a tech co-founder and a legal co-founder as well. And we put our heads together and could see creating an online will service and really other end-of-life services were very much in need. A very simplified, streamlined and affordable process is something that people were calling out for. And I could just see myself, being an advisor, I could see the need there and I could see the value that would provide to people. And it was sort of like a fun thing to do as well. Invested so much into making it happen, and here we are 4 years down the track. We've helped over 150,000 Aussies.
Yeah, cool. All right, so what let's get into what is Willed, how does it work? Yeah, just give us a rundown of what the product is.
Yeah, sure. So I guess Willed is really an end-of-life services business. So we started with online wills. That was the first product. But we do see things more broadly. So we do a lot of actual work in the area of funerals, prepaid funerals as well. We also work with charities who will get bequests from our customers because we're helping them write an online will. But I guess the sort of simplest answer is we are a streamlined estate planning service to a large extent online, but also lawyer supported. And some people just use us to consult with our lawyers. We have lawyers that we employ within the greater business as well under Will Law who just provide bespoke legal services to and there's just so many people who need to get things done, who want to get things done and finally ticking it off the list. That's what we do.
And so I guess, as an advisor, this is an advisor-based podcast out to advisors. I know our business at Sky, we've looked at how do we engage with, estate planning lawyers because we're setting up life insurance and we do actively ask our clients if they want a referral and a recommendation, but we don't get deep into making sure it happens like I'm sure most advisors. There are I've spoken to some advisors in the past about setting up kind of service offering, charging X amount of dollars, wrapping in the lawyer and making sure it happens for their clients and charging that project-based fee. Is that how you're finding advisors can consider it like that? Or is it more just very much a go over here, we can hold your hand a little bit, but it's a fairly easy enough process to get done?
Yeah, I'd say it's horses for courses. You do have advisors who really want to be involved. We have some who literally pay for our wills and then they'll charge the clients a project management fee and include the will into it. That's sort of one model. And we've got others who just simply, direct them to there as an option. And I really stress that as well, because I would say will is not suitable for everyone. And that legal referral partner is a very important relationship. I've got many great risk insurance clients over the years from estate planning lawyers or from lawyers generally. And I think there is a really good relationship there that advisors have with these professionals. And that's great. They should keep those relationships in place, I think. If they don't have anything, fine, they could consider willed, absolutely. But I do think those relationships are important and shouldn't be dismissed. But also I think willed is often I wouldn't say a supplement, but it's often just an easier approach, certainly more affordable, something that they can introduce really very painlessly if they like, or simply just tell them about it. And that gives a lot of value to clients who will actually finally get something done rather than just be in that constant cycle of, we need to do our wills. We haven't done it this year. We'll do it next year. That sort of unfortunate problem that keeps reoccurring.
Yeah, okay. And help me understand, what's the cost? What's the cost of it?
Sure. So a basic will with us is $159 for an individual, and then they're able to make updates to that for the first 12 months. If they want to keep updating their wills, then there is a subscription fee on that, and which most people will take up. And that's the basic cost for an individual. There's a 50% discount for a second person who comes on board as well. That's the sort of retail price point for our wills.
So $159 for an individual. And if I've got a client, well, for myself, let's just talk about myself. Me and my wife want to get a will. What's the cost for both of us to get it done?
Yeah, so that's $238, so 50% off the second person. That gets the two wills. It doesn't have to be your partner. It could just be a second person. It could be your mum, but that's the discount for the second person.
And what's the process? Is it all online? I can't imagine I'm having a meeting with a lawyer for that cost.
Yeah, for many people, it is totally online because it can be done that way. You could go on today, enter some details, answer some questions, complete the process. I mean, it could be done in 15 minutes, but most people need to think about certain things, who their guardians are and executors and that sort of thing, maybe even research some of their details. So it can take a bit longer. But yes, you could do it from start to finish, produce a legally valid will. Obviously, it needs to be signed and executed correctly. We have very detailed instructions. That can be done as simple as that. But we also have fantastic interactions with phone support, chat support. You can speak to lawyers on certain issues and they'll be able to help in a limited manner as well. And there's also an opportunity to have that will reviewed by the legal team as well. There's no extra fee for that. And then if customizations are required, either they're just done free of charge. Often that's the case. It just depends on the complexity of those customizations required.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do you have any other like testamentary trust and what does that look like at the moment?
Yeah, so probably the next thing to just consider is powers of attorney, often referred to as EPAs, enduring powers of attorney. So that will add another $50 if people want to avail of that. That's done again within the platform from start to finish. We're extremely proud of both the will, but there's a lot of complexity to those documents. We've built something that we think is just beyond compare anywhere else in the country. So that can be added, and many people will obviously choose to add those. And that completes sort of the basic set of documents. Some people will just take the wills. Some people will just take the powers of attorney or EPA, but many people will just be buying the two together.
And you said that was $50.
Yeah, it adds another $50. That's right. That will be suitable for most of our clientele. I guess in the advisor world, we are thinking complexity. We're thinking about asset protection and tax minimization or management, etc. And so that will lead people to testamentary trust many times. Our platform is not built for that, but that is something that our lawyers will provide as a bespoke legal service for those that it becomes evident that it's relevant for them through the conversations we have, the chat we have, etc. So, or if people, sometimes we have people refer to us, this is my client, they need a testamentary trust, and then that's not through the will platform. We just have lawyers who can fulfill that.
Got it. And that's just, quoted, just like a normal legal service, I guess.
Correct. That's right. Still with a big emphasis on just affordability and streamlining, but it is a similar scenario to a legal firm. It is a legal firm.
And to any listeners, this very much sounds like an ad, but one thing I always think about with this podcast is I want to think about how do I make my business as efficient and process-driven as possible. I reached out to you for a year and a half ago to come on. You responded to me and I just completely dropped the ball and didn't realize. And so I always just think about, what do I want in my business to help my clients? And estate planning is one area that we just haven't nailed. And it's a clunky service. We try, I mean, advice and insurance it couldn't be any more clunky, if I'm being perfectly honest. But we try and make our client engagement as easy as we can. We have, phone call bookings, we have online forms. We try and make it as virtual as possible for our clients. So one hesitation I've always had is, if we then go and refer them to a lawyer that they've got to go and sit down and go to their office in the middle of Brisbane or Melbourne or Sydney, charge them $1,000 for basic wills, feels a little clunky to me. And so I guess, from your own experience as an advisor for so long, and, in your chats with other advisors, what is stopping advisors, getting their clients set up with wills? Is it just the client's lack of understanding or desire to get it done? What is that hesitation?
So you're talking about the end clients. Yeah. Stops our clients as advisors? Look, there's quite a few. So I think number one is people are all-time poor, and it's making the booking with someone and doing a lot of the fact-finding process and discussion. People just don't manage to prioritize that because it's such a hurdle to overcome. And look, it is the legal fees that you're going to get. I mean, if you when you're talking to people about seeing a lawyer, if you told them, it's going to cost several thousands of dollars as an estimate, yeah, I mean, they might go, yeah, we'll do it. But I think for many people, that is absolutely an obstacle. And so we, being the public, just put it off and put it off and put it off. And it is not a subject that a lot of people are rushing to deal with. There's reticence just emotionally, to deal with death. We're talking to them as risk advisors, obviously, about these things, and perhaps there's only so much they can take. That's why if you can put something in front of them, that is really doable as a next step, that's great. And I think even if people have a requirement for something very fancy in terms of their legal requirements, having a will where they basically put down their basic wishes is going to be a lot better than not having anything. And it can be done really, really quickly. And then that can be the point of departure for the next bit of documentation, whether it's through us or whether it's through someone else. It's at that price point. It really shouldn't be the price that's the issue. It should be an enabler, actually.
Yeah, that's right. And so let's just touch on kind of the concerns people have. We've been told forever and a day, don't go down to the post office and get the the will kit, because they're not really worth the paper they're written on. Are you basically a online version of the post office will kit? And what's the difference between going to a lawyer and going to you guys?
Well, I'm going to start answering that question probably from an advisor, in an advisor sort of way. Advisors think, well, it's much better to see an advisor. We've got our technical skills and we will steer people away from the bad things and put them onto the good things. And I believe that. So I will not say that Wilt is always going to be an equal level to an expert estate planning lawyer. It won't be. It can't be. So there is a value to that if you're prepared to pay for that, to have it something very bespoke. Contrasting that to your post office will kits, I wouldn't say they're not worth the paper they're written on. I would say they are very prone to error. They're very, quite tedious to fill out, and there's not much flexibility. But the big thing is prone to error. If you don't enter things correctly, you're going to create lots of issues at the time when that will is taken to the courts to achieve probate, or you may. There's a high risk that you'll create issues with the way things have been documented. That's a real problem with them. So I would say we are willed. The basic offering is positioned as a sophisticated version of that has a lot of protections in place to prevent those sorts of errors, and that's how I would say we're positioned.
And let me just kind of double click on that. Like, what do you guys do to prevent those errors?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you build a technical system, firstly, you have to enter certain things. There's certain mandatory fields that have to come into play. They have to get populated into the documents in the correct place. And we do have the legal review that we provide at the end of that process as well, which again reviews that will to ensure that things have been entered correctly. That would be the first level of protection. And also the actual will itself, built by lawyers and is constantly being updated based on technical input as well. So we're very comfortable with the quality of that product. That's what we do on that first instance. Beyond that, when people need to really consult with people, like, what do I really need? That sort of advice question, then that turns into a different process and a different advice conversation with our lawyers at different fees. So it's ensuring that you're in the right category.
Yeah, and I guess having something simple that, basically at the end of it, if I'm an idiot and can't have my first name in my first name field and last name in my last name, someone else can say, hey, is your name really Thompson Phil or is it Phil Thompson? And so that's good. I think about my own experience getting a will, and we had children and it took us like 5 years to get a will. And the big thing that stopped us, time poor, self-employed, no one's got time, but was actually about where do our kids go when we pass away. Do you guys have any kind of like online videos or not a course so much, but just any guidance you can provide to go, hey, how do you have that conversation with, family members? Who's going to look after your kids and how's that going to look like?
Yeah, look, there are some things that just can't be solved by any platform or an advisor. We have a lot of content, and the question of guardianship can be a thorny one, but we can't solve everything, obviously. Similarly, writing your will in a marriage situation or relationship situation that's on the rocks, it's really difficult. It's very hard to just guide someone through those things, but people have to work it out. They have to, like in advice, you have to balance the different needs of the different parties and try to facilitate that. But yeah.
And through your platform, do you have like, when you ask about guardianship, do you have like videos of like, here are some things to consider, or is that leading a little bit into like too much legal advice? I guess.
Well, we don't. We do. We have support. We don't have a video on that one in particular, but we have a huge amount of content on topics such as guardianships and various anything. I mean, we spend, like, I'd say a lot of our success has been about thinking what a customer's looking for, what is relevant information that we can provide them, creating that content. And like yourself, it takes a lot of time and effort to get it produced. And that's been a key part of what we've done to just be extremely helpful for people. We won't solve everything. We won't cover every topic, but we do provide a lot of great consumer information, which is why we just get phenomenal traffic to our site as well.
The other concern as an advisor, like what happens when the client passes away? Are you guys there to help facilitate that as well?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so people will have a choice. So I'll just explain what's required when a person passes away. So every state and territory will have a process where a will is validated with the courts. That's called probate. And so that's not always required. If someone dies with a very small estate, they may not need to validate the will. But typically with life insurance sort of clients, it's going to be required. There's going to be assets and substantial money in the bank, if not actual, other property assets and share assets. So that will be required. Now, we have a fantastic service that people can choose to at that time. If they've written a will with us, they'll typically just come back to us to seek assistance with that, and we charge very reasonable fees. We also just help people in the wider community who are, someone's died and they just need help with that. I should also mention we've never ever had a will that's come back to us. We've had a problem getting probate. We've had a 100% success rate with every will that's come through with us on probate, and we're not aware of any ones that have had an issue aside. Because sometimes people won't use us. They will use a lawyer, another lawyer, or they may even do it themselves. It's an option too.
Yeah, right. And what's the cost of going through probate with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, look, as a rough idea, I mean, it can vary because, like, there's a lot of people involved, for example, or the way the will was stored was troublesome. Who knows what? It can vary. But $2,000 is roughly what people will pay for just a very standard sort of probate file with us to get the grant of probate. And from then on, they usually just administer it themselves. They write out the checks and then divide the assets as executors themselves. But we can provide guidance there too.
And in terms of like storing the will and housing the will and sharing the will, like, this is an issue as advisors when we're talking about life insurance, like, privacy concerns. Like, one client's got a life insurance policy and their partner calls us up and we may not have a relationship with them. It's kind of, we're talking about in our business, how do we navigate that? So how do you guys do it from a systems, if I went and did my will on there, would I nominate my wife on there, and how would she let that we need to go through like, how does that work?
Yeah, sure. So there's a few things. So if you're writing a will with us, for example, just a side point there, we provide a digital vault. So you may wish to keep all sorts of details there. It could even be copies of your life insurance or any information about your estate that your executor might just want to access at the time, so they can do everything. That's provided. But your question is more around the privacy and how we can share data with people. So, you manage your account. We can only share information with you in the first instance. But if someone has died, say, God forbid, but it's like your wife turns up with your will and you've passed. So they'll have a code within the will that can validate it, and also would need to confirm that the death's actually occurred and get ID from them as the executor. And then we can assist, obviously, if there's been any other information left within your account. That's it after the person's passed.
And then my wife can then access that vault with all the information.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And
right,
that digital vault, is that provided on the subscription, or is that just provided if I write my will with you, you get the vault?
Yeah, so it's actually, in the first instance, you get the vault, but if you want to keep retaining access to it, then it's the yearly subscription, which is $15 a year.
That makes sense. $15 a year,
and it'd be
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's not that much. Yeah. To worry about.
No, and it's amazing actually. So the big advantage for people is they're actually updating wills quite often. Some people, I won't say yearly, but people are updating things quite often, and it makes sense. People, you might have an executor who's now too old or no longer suitable. You fall out with them, they die, etc. Obviously, add another child. Like there's often reasons to update your will. People, marriage breakdowns, etc., which means people do want to just write a will and they don't want to start again or amend that will. It can be quite costly and technically difficult as well to amend a will, which is called a codicil. So we just get people to make those edits and just rewrite their will. So when you've got the subscription, that's exactly what you're able to do time and time again. Otherwise, you've got to start again and pay a much larger amount.
Right. So my head, being an insurance-only advisor, thinks to myself, how do I partner with wills so anyone who's unadvised and updates their wills also comes and gets an introduction to Sky? So I think about that. But then also my clients, do you have a mechanism to partner with advisors where we go, hey, our clients are on your platform paying your subscription, but when they go and update with you directly, I want to be pinged, hey, a will has been updated. Is there any mechanism there, or is that on your product roadmap at all?
Yeah, we do. We do have that. So we partner with people in different ways, depending on level of involvement and engagement. They can potentially have a dashboard of certain metrics of who's using wills, get notifications. We can provide discounts to people as well. So like as an advisor, you might say it's $159. We just want to provide a discount to our customer. It's all for them. With certain groups, we do a rev share as well that we can explore, subject to various conflicts that you might want to consider as an advisor. All sorts of options are currently available. And some people also, as I said before, some people are buying wills so they could actually go out and do it themselves, which I think is a great opportunity for potentially, could be AFSLs, dealer groups, etc. may do that in future as well, or product providers.
Will I, let's say we did do a partnership and we had a dashboard, will I get pinged when a client goes and updates their will?
We do that for charities because people are putting in bequests. So we've got the functionalities to do that. We just need to think about some of the legal implications as well, because it's still private information to them. So that's one for us to work through. But technically, we can do it.
Of course. Yeah, the answer is not. Theoretically, you could do it, but it's not. It's not live at the moment.
Yeah, and not for advisors, but what we do with charities is we're getting people's consent as well to be able to let charities know. So we could do it for advisors.
Of course, yeah.
And we can also do things like, you've written a will, you've been referred by an advisor. Do you want to let your advisor have a copy of what?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the clients, it's their privacy. They obviously need to agree to all of it and be okay with it. We can't just sneakily get access to all their will changes. And again, I would love to say that clients are super proactive about their wills, and they're just not. But if someone's on the platform paying a subscription, they may be more likely to go and do it. So the way I think about it is if they change their will and change a beneficiary of their estate, but their life insurance still has their old beneficiary, that would be a great way to partner and go, hey, they've changed it there. Now you've taken your wife off. Do you want to take your wife off your policy? Because now that she's your ex-wife, do we want to take her off that? Because as we know that super and insurance lives outside the estate if there's a beneficiary. So.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that's a good way to have a bit of interplay as well, like prompting people to do beneficiary updates, for example, and involving advisors as they wish to be involved with that. I think that's a perfect area, exactly.
I hope people are getting value out of listening to this, because I'm literally just doing it as a way to think about how to improve my business and how to think about efficiency. So I hope others are getting value. But the question I have is, being a startup, you have raised capital. Given the environment today is harder to keep raising capital, like where is the business at? Because if I'm going to partner with a business like Will, I want you guys to be around for 20 years. I don't want you to just go, hey, we failed, what is it? Fail fast, fail often or whatever. I don't really want to partner with a really young, small startup that's just going to go out of business in 3 months' time.
Well, I appreciate anything associated with feeling young and being young, because I'm 48 now, so I'm not feeling as young, but I'm very bullish about where we are and where we're going. Our support's been fantastic from our investor base, and we are well funded. We're very in a strong position, and we've used that to both build tech, but to build brand awareness. We've had a national TV campaign, and so that's just been great, getting the trust of people, because initially it was like, well, online wills, what's that? And we would get people on the phone always asking us, is this legit? And we just don't get that question anymore. It's become a real thing. So yeah, we're strong. We're just, the market is there to be taken and developed. Advisors can be a really important part of that journey, and I really look forward to working with more advisors on that basis. But we're absolutely here. Just on that process thing, I wanted to make sure I made the point. So the best advisors, in terms of success, advisors who have email lists, who are regularly corresponding with their database, are really in a great position to be able to put something out to them as education. We can work with people for EDMs, for example, for like messaging, to just basically it could be text messaging, reminding people that this is available. That's a really key thing. And also into that fact finding process. I mean, if you're asking people, do you have a will? Well, there's really no reason not to just have another notification. Here's something that you might consider. And I think it's fine to say, go see your own lawyer to get your will done. But if you don't have one, you might want to avail of this service. And I think that's a great approach. If people just did that, the word I use is getting willed, because I want people to get a will, which is getting willed. And I just think so many more people would get willed if financial advisors, risk advisors, mortgage brokers could just build that into that process, even accountants, to help people get it done and make a world of difference.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like, although we don't do it at Sky to any acceptable level in my mind, it is definitely something that, as finance professionals, we are really at the core of people's decision making. And what is an estate? It's really what happens to my money if I'm dead. And life insurance advisors, we're talking about when you die, what's going to happen. So it's dumb. And I'm talking to myself, I'm not talking to any listeners. It's dumb that we don't do it very well when we are literally talking about what happens when you die and this is the money. So let's sort that other stuff. Because I had a good friend of mine pass away without a will, and we actually got a terminal illness payment paid out before and in his wife's name, and I was shocked that he didn't have a will, and it didn't tell him off on his deathbed, but I kind of was a bit like, come on mate, what are you doing, you peanut? But it was literally driving home from Wodonga on the weekend, talking to my wife, and she met with a friend who her dad passed away without a will, and literally how the kids fought with the dad's partner for money. And it was literally like they just took $100,000 from, I don't know the number, but I'm assuming $100,000 from the partner and paid it straight to lawyers in a fight. They didn't get anything. She lost some money and just paid straight to lawyers just because there was no will to set out what happened. So it's kind of like, it's so prevalent that people just don't have wills, that as risk advisors, we need to lean into this space. And it's hard. We've got our own pressures to build our own business. Wills aren't our core business, but it is definitely something. Is there anything that, you mentioned that Will's happy to help with, communications and EDMs, bit of a marketing term, but it's like basically email communications. And so how does advisors get in touch if they want to start working with you and getting that support?
Best way for advisors to get in touch with us is we've got a landing page at will.com.au/advisors, ADVIE. Oh, can't even spell it. ADVISERS. And that's where you can just sort of get the basics on how we work together with advisors. You can book in a call with someone suitable to just explain the product to you and how we work with people and what the sort of financial benefits are for both your clients and for other groups that can be involved in that way. And that's really the best way to get in touch. But, even just reach out on chat support, send an email to hello@will.com.au as well, and we'll put you in touch with the relevant person. But on top of that, so we could help with, if you want to communicate to your people, we can help. We've got dedicated marketing specialists that can help with that. And even if you want to do your own bit of video content, here's a great example. We can just do a basic call where we just talk about these things and We can even give you the questions to ask myself if you like, and put that out there just to share it with your people, to show that, you care about these things. You're not just caring about writing a policy. Great, I earned some money. You actually care about things more holistically, and it's totally relevant to what you do as an advisor.
Yeah, and to be honest, like our clients at Sky are like me, young family, young professionals. Our average client age is like 35. And to be honest, like going to a lawyer, sitting down is not only time consuming, we all assume it's going to cost us an arm and a leg because it's a lawyer. Like having a $250 cost when the cost of living is, extremely expensive, but it's super important. It's really cost effective. And that's kind of why I like the idea of using an online platform. And as you said, it can literally just be the starting point. You don't have a will, go here first, but you've got complexities, go and do I won't say real one, but go to a lawyer because you may want to scale up that
more customization.
Yeah. But just literally spend 20 minutes doing it online now, or use will to escalate it.
The other benefit we forget, and you might have experienced this yourself, once you wrote your will, you actually feel a sense of relief, of a really good feeling. We tick that one off, because everyone's been meaning to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you've got kids, you've been meaning to do it since the day you were first pregnant, I would say. But if you're just in a relationship without kids, you still have an idea that you've got people you protect. That's why we are in life insurance, because we care about people. Just tapping into that and going, great, I've done something to look after the people I love. That's really what motivates people. It's not like, oh, I've got to face this terrible thing. No, just help people do something that they want to do.
Yeah. And in a really easy, relatively straightforward process. I like it. So thank you very much. Before we finish up, I've got 2 questions for you. When do you get a chance to do your emails?
Emails, I would do them, unfortunately, too much throughout the day. So I don't have a great answer for that.
Mate, that's my life. I ask everyone, and there's very few people who do it well. And emails, I just wish I could delete all my emails and never get any ever again, and I could do some real work. And the last question: what's one interesting hobby that you've got?
I'm a very avid musician, so guitar and bass guitar, but in particular, playing with my kids. I've got 2 13-year-olds as of yesterday who are very musical, and other kids also musical. So playing with my family, that's my real happy place.
Yeah, cool. Who's the drummer? Do you have a drummer in the family?
We need a drummer. So we're going to
go for another one so you can get a drummer.
Yeah, need a drummer. Yeah, it might just be cheaper to get a drum machine.
That's right. Much cheaper, much easier. Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Aaron. I really appreciate your time today.
Pleasure.
If you've enjoyed this episode and you think someone else will get value out of it, I'd love it if you could forward it on to them. And as always, we can continue the conversation in the My Risk Adviser Facebook group. All you need to do, open up Facebook and search My Risk Adviser, and I'll see you in there.